Hi, hello, I'm Jaye.
I'm Leah.
And together we are Selios Cosplay.
So as you may be able to tell from the title, today's video is quite an important one. We know a lot of you guys who are watching this video are wanting to attend cons. Maybe you've already attended them before, maybe you haven't. Either way, we just want to go over some of our safety tips and our safety rules that we use when we approach cons that might be able to help you guys stay safe. And we really hope that even if you do already attend cons, you watch through this and you listen, because they may really help you. They may help you in a dangerous situation. They might help you stop getting stressed or overstimulated. There are so many things these can help with, and we just think they're really important to share. So please, please, please watch through, listen to this advice, and remember to subscribe for more tips, more tricks for cosplay and cons. But without any further ado, let's get into the first one.
So one thing I find really useful to do on the run up to a con is most of your major conventions will release maps of the convention halls and where things are going to be located. This is really helpful if you're looking for like a specific artist or a specific thing to go and do. But this is also really useful to know where information points are, where entrances, exits are, and also where common meeting areas can be. We'll get into a little bit more of that later when we talk about meeting points, but just having the con map with you at all times is really quite important and really quite useful. And it's also, like I say, very good to look over it before you go to the convention, and then having it available on your phone where you can see it through the convention day, because it's going to help you and it's also going to help your group and whoever you're with as well.
Okay, so this next tip that we're going to use is mainly for people who are doing cosplay or maybe have more feminine presenting outfits, as I quite often do. And that tip is to use safety shorts. Either safety shorts or even just thick dance tights. If possible, wear both of them. But that, I know, isn't always possible for us. The point of this is if you have a short skirt or anything along those lines, it's going to stop you flashing anyone, it's going to stop anyone seeing things you don't want them to see. And it's also going to stop anyone who is trying to upskirt, which sounds horrific, but it is a reality at conventions and pretty much everywhere you go. So it's really, really, really important that you wear something that hides that, just to keep yourself safe. I know a lot of people who will forego accuracy on cosplay just to make sure they feel more comfortable. They'll change a skirt to shorts, and they'll wear longer skirts, they'll do whatever makes themselves feel more comfortable. But just ever since I've discovered dance tights, every cosplay that I can wear them in, I will. I personally don't always like the look because I find that they are a different colour to my body and it can look jarring in some outfits, in which case I do wear safety shorts so often. I wear them for all my sailor outfits, I wear them with key lift, I wear them on most skirted cosplays. Even when the skirt is quite long on Rapunzel, I'll tend to wear shorts under it just in case. Little story for this one. When I wore Miguel to a convention in 2018, I was working with videographers, which I am now friends with and has since told me the story because I was clueless. And we did shots in these full circle skirts made of us spinning, and the shots look beautiful. I love doing spinning shots like that. But my skirt came up enough that I wasn't wearing safety shorts and my underwear was shown. This was a skirt that was almost ankle long on me. And bless her, one of the girls who were editing for this, they had to go in frame by frame and block my underwear to make sure that I was keeping my dignity, which thank the Lord that they did. Telling me this story years later, it was a funny story when she knew who I was. It's not quite as funny when that is a stranger you're working with. So please, 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 if that had been anybody else or a different company or someone with less dignity, it would have been a horrific situation for me. And I just beg of you, even if you don't think you need them, get yourself some safety shorts or some dance tights or something to protect yourself with, because it can happen at any point and it's so much easier to be safe than sorry.
Another helpful tip that we often try and employ is to have some kind of a buddy system. Now, this is really useful whether you are a minor or an adult, because not only is it going to stop you feeling too overwhelmed in crowds or like feeling like you're alone and lost, because you'll have a friend there with you who knows what's going on and can help you with anything that arises. But it's also great for safety. Sadly, in this community, there are people who are probably out to do more harm than good, and they will prey on someone who is by themselves, no matter the age, no matter what you're wearing. So having some kind of buddy system where there is at least 2 of you going around a busy convention hall is going to keep you safe. And that's what this is mostly about. This is about keeping you safe. That being said, whoever your buddy is that you're taking with you, please make sure that this is someone that you have known previous before the convention. For the buddy system to really work, you want this to be a friend that you either know IRL properly, whether that be like a schoolmate, a colleague, it can be family members, whether that's you going around with older siblings, or your parents, or aunts, uncles, whoever is bringing you to this convention. Please make sure that this is someone that you know. Not just someone you've just met, not just an online friend that you've known for ages but met that day. Make sure it's someone you know, because the last thing you need is to trust somebody and then them not turn out exactly who you want them to be. So please just stay safe, make sure you've got a friend with you.
Our next tip for you guys is something that I think is so important and a lot of people overlook, but it's to have a safe meeting point. We can harp on with you guys so much saying like have a buddy system, know where people are, stay in touch. But at the end of the day, things can happen and things can go wrong. And some of these tips may not work for you guys. Something may happen on the day to make them fall apart. An amazing backup to have is to have a meetup point. Now, an example of this in action is there was a convention where I was with my friend. She didn't have pockets. I had her phone on me, which meant that when we were walking through a crowded area, I turned around and couldn't see her behind me. So what I did when I couldn't see her is I stepped to one side and I waited and she didn't pass. So I turned around and I went back to our meeting point and there she was. It meant we were able to get back in touch, even without having a phone to be able to contact each other. We knew where to find each other and where to go if anything happened to separate that buddy system. So meetup points that we have used in the past, I use Starbucks London XL because it's a little bit quieter, a little bit away from the con, but not too far away that you're having to walk too far. At the NEC, we'll pick one of the emptier halls on the same side, which means you're able to stand in a slightly quieter area where there is still quite a lot of foot traffic, so you aren't on your own, but it is easy enough to find you as a buddy. You will find your own meetup points. I'm sure if you look at the map before an event, you could set one then, or you can find one at the event on the morning. Just make sure you communicate that to the people you are with. And that means that if anything happens, or if anything goes wrong, or if any of these safety tips do not work, then you have a way to get back to being with that person.
Another really helpful thing to implement into your day, just to keep yourself just that little bit safe, is something, we call them safe words. Now, they don't always have to mean like, help, I am in danger. But they are a good system so that if you say a certain phrase or a certain word to your friend or anyone that you are with, they know that something is up and that something needs to be addressed. Now, what we do usually, just because ours tends to be less unsafe and more I'm overwhelmed and I need to leave this area because I need somewhere quiet to be. And what we will use is the phrase, do you want to go for a smoke? Now, neither me or Leah are actually smokers. That isn't something that we do in our daily day. But what that means is if we say to one another, do you want to go for a smoke? That means I need to go. Like something is overwhelming me and I need to leave. And it's a normal enough phrase that won't sort of key up anybody else that you're with that there is a problem going on, but it means that between us and between the people that know it, they know that something's going on. And it's such a normal way to be able to escape a situation without sort of drawing too much attention. And this is really useful for us. Obviously, come up with your own phrases, come up with what's going to be best for you, especially if there's something that you don't actually do, but if you reference it, that's something you can use as a communication. Whatever's going to work best for you. If you want different phrases and words for different things, overwhelm can be separate to I am in danger and I need help. As long as the people you are with know what these phrases mean and can jump to action when those phrases are implemented, then you're going to have a much safer and probably much more enjoyable con experience.
So my next tip for you guys, I guess, is before you go into a convention, whoever you're going with, and that can be you and your buddy, or it can be a larger group of people, establish some boundaries, not just for amongst yourselves, but for what you want from a convention. So for an example, I don't like staying with a new photographer on my own, and I communicate that with my friends, so they make sure to hang around so I can easily shout out to them. I can use a safe word if I need to get out of that situation. Another example is I have a friend who really doesn't like hugs, and it means that when we were at the convention, when a stranger came up and asked them for a hug, even though they felt too awkward to say no, as soon as that started happening, I was able to separate them and get that person away, because I knew it was against their boundaries. I knew it wasn't something that they wanted. And even though they felt too awkward to be able to establish that boundary in that moment, because it had been previously established, we were able to step in and help them as a third party, which for us people pleasers can be really useful. I know Jaye helps me out a lot. I really struggle saying no to people when they ask for photos, or when they're wanting to hold me in a photo, if they want to put their arm around me. I normally don't like that, especially from men. Jaye knows this and will make sure that if that is happening, or like if she sees people going to do that, she'll put herself between me and them and make sure it doesn't happen. Establishing that beforehand is so useful. I have been in so many situations before where I've been stuck with a photographer that I didn't want to be with for one time over an hour of just being put in different positions, and I wasn't able to get out of it because my buddy didn't realise I was uncomfortable because I hadn't established beforehand where my boundaries were. And I'm not always great at communicating in the moment, so please, please, please establish before you go to a convention where your boundaries lie. And yeah, that might change in a moment, in which case if your buddy is coming over to try and separate that, you can say to them and say, I'm fine, like don't worry about it, like I can figure this out, like this isn't pushing my boundaries, I'm doing fine. And you can establish that in a moment. You can change it when you want, but it is giving your buddies and your friends something to look out for you. This doesn't just have to be about you and your body, so we also use this on props. For example, if we have a delicate prop and we don't want other people touching that, we make sure we are aware of this. We had a friend bring a prop once to con that once you touch it you had to wash your hands because of something they'd made it with, and we had to make sure that nobody but them and the people who were aware of this touched it, which meant that everyone else around us could stay safe. Jaye's Titus sword that she made, the handle on that was a little bit flimsy and she hadn't been able to reinforce it as much as she really wanted to before the first event that we brought it to, which meant that no one was allowed to hold it by the handle, which meant we were stopping people touching it, we were stopping people playing with it. One of us held onto it at all times to make sure that that didn't fall apart and didn't break on the day, which is just something in general you can look out for. Setting these boundaries beforehand, whether it be I don't want anyone else touching my bag, I don't want someone touching a prop, I don't want someone touching me, whatever that might be. Set your boundaries, communicate them clearly, and let the people around you know and be aware of what to look out for. And this isn't a 100% foolproof system, but it's so much better than not communicating that.
Another thing that's really important, especially in now day and age, today's day, the year of technology, please make sure you have your phone on you. Now, this might seem stupid, especially because we're now in a time where it's quite rare to find people without their phones, but I think you would be surprised by how hard it can be to get in contact with someone despite them having their phone on them. So make sure you have your phone on, make sure it is on loud, because I know somebody, I don't want to name names, Leah, who keeps their phone on silent. And it means that she's quite hard to get a hold of during a convention day, which isn't exactly ideal. Make sure you put your phone on you, make sure that it's on loud. That way that people can get in touch with you should you get separated. It also means that you're able to get in touch with other people should you be separated. We had an incident recently where thankfully someone that we had met earlier in the day came up and found us, but they had been separated from their family and didn't have any way of contacting them. Luckily we were able to reunite them, but if a phone had been involved, it would have been a lot faster, there would have been a lot less panic, and they would have just been able to find their friends and family a lot faster. But this also means if you have your phone on you and it's on loud, that anybody that is at this event that knows you and has your phone number is able to get in contact with you, even if they're not a part of your group. This can be just other friends that you know at the convention, this can be if any family members have decided to come to the convention, and whilst they might not actually be with you to attend the event with you, should anything go wrong on their end or your end, there is contact that can happen, and you know for a fact that there is people that will be there to help you. Now, if you do not have a phone, because, you know, if you're on the younger side, we all know what parents can be like, and you might not have your own phone just yet, you can buy really, really cheap pay-as-you-go phones for like not a lot of money. You can top it up with 20 quid, and that will just help you through your convention day. You know, it doesn't have to be the best device in the world, but just having some way for someone to text or call you could help you quite a lot. So yeah, phones are very important. Make sure that you can hear them. Even if you don't have a costume that means that you can't carry a phone, just keep it in your hand. If you're with somebody who can hold it for you, make sure they've got it, but do not get separated from them.
So I know a massive appeal of going to conventions for a lot of people is meeting people you wouldn't otherwise see, whether that be somebody you idolize online, whether it be a celebrity, or even an online friend, someone you may have been speaking to for years but have never met in person before. I'm so guilty of this. So many of the people I see at conventions are people I've met online, love talking to and want to speak to in person, and that is on all different levels. But a really, really important thing I have to get you guys to consider is don't go in it alone. And hear me out, because I have been guilty of this in the past. My first convention I ever went to, I was 16 in London, and I went to meet up with an internet friend I'd met through online forums. And even though my family were at the event, I went and met up with this person. And luckily, I was fine. To this day, I'm still good friends with this person. But even in meeting them, I started to feel rather uncomfortable and a little bit nervous, because I very quickly realised we were at a meet when we met that was a lot of people that they knew and nobody that I knew. And they were the only person I knew at the event other than my family. I was nowhere near my family, had no idea where they were, and very quickly realised that I was in over my head. So I just massively recommend, as uncool as it may be, bring your buddy. If that buddy is your mom, it's fine, bring your mom. It doesn't matter who that person is, bring them with you, let them know where you are. And maybe if it is a parent or someone that you don't want to be part of a conversation, let them know where you are, and maybe just sit out of earshot and relax out on a green somewhere, on a bench nearby where they can still see you and know you are fine. Because if anything happens, you're going to wish that person was there. I know I really wanted someone there and nothing even happened for me. So if you can, bring a friend with you, have them hang out with you. Tell the person in advance that you're going to do this. Maybe they'll bring their own friend. It'll be like a little double date for everyone. Just make sure that you're feeling safe and you're feeling comfortable in meeting these people. I would say an exception for this is meeting celebrity guests, simply because when you're going in to meet them, you might have to pay by person. You are going to have security around you anyway. You're going to be protected in that instance. But even then, I would still have a friend nearby ready to meet back up with after meeting that person, just so you're not facing this convention alone.
We're sort of coming to the end now, but one of the final things that I want to say to you about staying safe at a con is that you make sure that you communicate your movements to the people that you are with. Now, this can be even if you are nipping to the toilet, you are going, you know, a few stalls down to go look at a different stall. It can be that you've spotted a friend and you want to go and say hi. You could be going anywhere, not very far away. But in these instances where you are going to be alone, no matter how short the amount of time is going to be, it is best to communicate with the people that you are with. Now, this works on both sides. It helps the person that is being left to know what your movements are and where you are going. It helps them to feel content in your whereabouts. It makes them feel content that they're not just being abandoned on their own, because trust me, I've been that person where I've just been like sat minding my own business and looked up and suddenly there's nobody there. And it's a horrible feeling, which would have been rectified in like only a few minutes if someone had told me where they were going. But this also means that if you are the person that is doing the wandering and you're just like going off even a few spaces, if something does happen to go wrong, you know that one, there is a person there who like is still there, they're not going anywhere. 2, they're not very far away should you need them. And 3, if you haven't come back after saying that you're going to be gone for a few minutes, they can start worrying. So rather than just wandering off and leaving somebody in a panic and you just sort of on your own without any whereabouts, because if that person decides to get up and start looking for you, they're not going to be where you left them. So just maintain that communication between yourselves. It just helps to lower the stress levels of everybody through the day. It means that you know you're safe, they know you're safe, and everyone's just happier for it.
So my final tip today, and possibly the most important one, is ignore everything we've just said if you need to. If you are in a situation where you feel in danger, approach a stranger and ask for help if you need to. Go to security. If somebody is following you around a convention centre and your meet point is somewhere quiet, don't go there. Don't let this person know where you are going. Go and talk to somebody, anybody in a crowded space that is going to be able to help you. As a community, we try and stick together, and while you shouldn't rely on other people or on strangers if you do not need to, situations arise. Scary things can happen. If you and your buddy are being followed or there is somebody harassing you, turn to the people next to you to help. Because if they turn to you, I imagine you'd do the same. Make sure that wherever you are prioritizing your own safety above anything else. In situations where your phone is dead, make sure that you're asking for help. Go to the security if you need to. Go to an event organizer if you can. But if there are not options available to you, anybody there is somebody that could help you. Just make sure you're never following those people to secluded areas. Don't go to bathrooms with them. Don't go to the back rooms with them. Don't walk away from the convention with them. Always stay in a crowded area and don't accept anything from them that could put you in danger. No food, no water, nothing like that. But rely on other people if you need help. Conventions at the end of the day aren't a scary space. They are a fun, wonderful place. Just you need to go into them like everything else with safety precautions and methods in head. And if you have followed all of these tips and you go to a convention, I promise you are going to be safe.
And that's it. Now, we're not experts and this isn't a completely foolproof video. Sadly, situations will happen, things don't turn out as you want them to, but as long as you keep these ideas in mind, they will give you the steps to have a much safer and more fun con experience. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any other safety tips that you think would be really useful to the community, please comment them below, because whilst we sort of have a good knowledge, anything else that can help this community be stronger together is going to be much better for everybody involved.
Or if we have said anything today that you maybe haven't considered or you would like to implement going forward, please let us know, because we want to know what's useful for you guys and what you like hearing.
So if you're not already and you would like to be, please consider subscribing. We always really appreciate it. If you like this video, maybe give it a like. It helps us, it lets us know that you really like this format and this video. And like we've said, comment any experiences, hell, give us any con horror stories if you would like to, because while situations aren't great, sometimes you can get a funny story out of it. That's it from us. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you and we really love you, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye.